Hello everyone, my name is Financial Charles. Today is October 16th of 2023, and today currently the Bitcoin price is right now at about $28,100. So a little bit up than what it was from yesterday, but I wanted to show you guys that this is the first time I checked the charts today. It's about 12 o'clock right now, and I guess earlier it wicked all the way up to $30,000, and then obviously we're back down. So what this tells me is that, there's certainly a sell wall at 30,000, a lot of sell orders at 30,000. So I mean, it's bullish that we're able to push up through here. A lot of people thought we were going to go down from here, and we probably still are going to go down, but it's very interesting to see this wick up here. It does show me, it tells me that there's big entities buying, but today this is not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about the reasons that Bitcoin is actually better than real estate in terms of where to park your money. As we know, especially in the United States, over the past couple decades, real estate has been on a tear. Well, I guess not past couple decades, but within the past 10 years, real estate has gone drastically up in value in terms of US dollar denomination. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Real estate has been known to be one of the best asset classes, and it's been known to be an asset class that every wealthy person invests in or should invest in. A lot of people, we grew up on the idea that buying your house is the best financial decision or the best financial investment that you would make in your lifetime. And I guess that's just some lessons that the previous generation has learned, and they decided to pass it on to us. But today is a different world than what they grew up in, and it's not a very popular it's not popular to think that Bitcoin is better than real estate. If you were to say Bitcoin is better than real estate to anyone that has a finance degree or has a background in finance, a lot of them would think you're crazy. A lot of them think you don't know what you're talking about. But I'll start off with saying what real estate does have over Bitcoin. Real estate does have real life utility in the housing, having a place to stay, having a place to survive, having a place to go to after you're done with your daily activities in the outside world. Owning a home, it acts as a place to stay. You can't stay in a Bitcoin. You cannot live in your Bitcoin. So I will give it that. There is value in real estate because it does have utility, and it does also have has value because land is finite. The earth is not unlimited. Sure, we can build second stories and third stories and fourth stories, and sure, you can technically rearrange the land itself, kind of like in Minecraft. You can make new land on top of water, but obviously that will cost a lot of money. But you can only build so much land to a certain extent, because you cannot make the earth bigger. There's a limit to it. So even though that it's scarce, like I said in my last video, even though land is finite, it's a different type of finite than 21 million Bitcoin. The finiteness of gold, it's a different level of finite than 21 million Bitcoin, because we don't know how much gold there is on Earth, and the universe, if the universe is not infinite, then that means gold in the universe cannot be infinite. But so gold is finite, but there's a lot of gold to be mined, and there's a lot of gold to be mined in space, and then there's a lot of floors and that we can build with real estate. What the thing about real estate though is, in terms of owning it, you can never truly own it. The real owner of the land is just the government, and if you don't pay the government your taxes, doesn't matter if you bought the house up front, your asset is subject to seizure because you did not pay your taxes. So real estate, owning real estate, you're actually forever enslaved to the government. You will have to continue paying your taxes, and if you don't pay your taxes, the asset that you paid for is subject to seizure. Whereas Bitcoin is, as long as no one knows your private keys, it doesn't matter how many taxes you evade. they cannot take it from you no matter what. If you generate your Bitcoin key, offline, and you keep your keys offline and you never upload it to the internet and you hide it, there's no possible way that they can take your Bitcoin from you unless you willingly give it up. They can kidnap you, they can torture you, and they can probably get the coins that way if you fold. But if you never fold and if you never give up your keys, they can kill you, but they would still never have your asset in their possession. It's impossible. Another thing with real estate is that if there is war going on, you cannot take your house to a different country. You cannot flee the country with your real estate. Your real estate is the land. It will stay there, so you can't transport it across borders, and it's very illiquid. When you want to sell your real estate or do a real estate transaction, there's a lot of fees, there's a lot of brokers, there's a lot of middlemen that you have to go through, and it's a process. You can't just buy and sell it instantly like you can with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the most liquid asset there is. Real estate is probably the most illiquid asset there is, so that's another disadvantage. And another thing is that Bitcoin, you can transfer it anywhere in the world for little cost. Compared to real estate, you can't transfer it anywhere in the world, and there's a lot of fees with real estate. With Bitcoin, there's very little fees. Each transaction is the same. It costs the same amount of money, or not the same amount of money, but you can transport billions and billions of dollars across seas, across borders for the cost, half the cost of a meal, and then it gets there in 10 minutes. You can transport it anywhere in the world in less than 10 minutes. You cannot do the same with gold either. To transport gold across borders, it will cost a lot to transport it. And even when France wanted to get their gold back from the United States, and they sailed all their ships to New York to collect their gold, France kept their gold in the United States. They float their boats over to New York to collect the gold. That costs a lot of money, and you're paying a lot of people to be a part of that crew on the ship. It's a lot of money involved to collect your gold, whereas with Bitcoin, there's none of that. You just you pay a fee, and the Bitcoin gets transferred. Another thing is just the finiteness of Bitcoin. Like I mentioned earlier, there's only 21 million Bitcoins. You can never mint any more Bitcoins than 21 million. It's baked into the code. There's no maintenance fees with Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, you just hold it in your hardware wallet and then you just let it sit. Whereas if you hold real estate, you are the one that is responsible for all the maintenance fees, for all the property taxes. If something goes wrong, then it is up to you to pay for it. Now, if you're buying real estate for cash flow opportunity, so you can rent out your real estate, that also still comes with problems. Now, that's another thing that housing has over Bitcoin, is that real estate, it does provide a cash flow. It does provide a monthly cash flow if your tenants pay, but that's another thing. Your tenant is not guaranteed to pay, so there's another layer of risk that you're taking on by investing in real estate. You can do your due diligence and you can screen all your potential tenants. So if you do a good job with that, then this becomes less of a risk. But again, there's a level of trust involved in this. There's a level of trust that your tenant will pay you on time, or and who knows, they could have some type of family emergency or some type of dire event. Perhaps they get laid off and now you're going to be maybe not receiving your payments. And another thing is, if coronavirus happens again or something equivalent to coronavirus, what the government did last time was that they gave renters leeway, where they didn't have to pay their rent, and this affects the owners of the property because now they're not collecting any rent. So if that happens, if coronavirus happens again and you own a rental property, there might be a chance that the government will shut down your opportunity to collect cash flow. And if they don't shut down your operation to collect cash flow, they will receive their cut because you have to pay taxes on cash flow. With Bitcoin, obviously you do have to pay taxes if you sell. That's capital gains. But there are a lot of ways in which, Bitcoin is a currency. You can exchange it with others for goods and services. If you just keep the Bitcoin as Bitcoin and you exchange it as you exchange Bitcoin for food or something, you can't really prove. Now, I'm not saying to evade taxes, but you can't really prove that, you exchanged that Bitcoin for a good. The only thing that they can see is that, Bitcoin got transferred from one address to another. They can't prove anything other than that. They can't prove that, you used that to buy goods. Really, you can say that you got hacked, that your Bitcoin wallet got hacked, you know what I mean? And then someone sent it out to you. And that's the joke behind the boating accident, like a lot of people on the internet, they will claim that they got into a boating accident and they lost all their Bitcoin. That's a way of evading taxes. It's a gray area for sure, because if you do lose your gold, if you do lose your property, you can write it off as a loss. You don't have to pay taxes on a loss. So, and that's you can very much, lose your keys. You can very much get your keys hacked and then all your crypto or all your Bitcoin is gone and you can, write that off. So that's what they mean with boating accidents. You can have a boating accident with Bitcoin. You can't really have a boating accident with real estate. The government will know that you collected cash flow and you will pay taxes on that cash flow. With Bitcoin, the only time you pay taxes is if you sell. So, that's why it's always in our best interest to not only, buy Bitcoin, but just hodl it and never sell. And, in the future, there will be solutions such as, borrowing against your Bitcoin so you can have liquid cash. But because you took out a loan, loans are not taxable. You don't have to pay taxes on that because you can't tax a loan. So that's, this is just the beginning video of, Bitcoin versus real estate. I'm going to, dive in more later on. What inspired me is obviously Bitcoin University. He's made a couple of videos about why Bitcoin's better than real estate, and the reason I think that this is so valuable is because Matthew Crowder, he used to own rental properties, and he has some videos on his channel still from 2020 talking about the benefits of rental properties and how he collects his cash flow through rental properties. And he recommended, it was a video where he he said, financial advice I would give to my 18-year-old self. One of the points was to buy some rental properties to rent it out for cash flow. And I thought it was so interesting because that video was in 2020, and now in 2023 he completely flipped his stance, and he sold all of his rental properties actually so he can put it in Bitcoin, and he did that in 2020. And he says, we all know what the price was in 2020, so obviously he made a good decision with that, and it continues to be a good decision. So that has a lot of, it's very valid to me because he actually has experience with owning rental properties and collecting cash flow. And after his first-hand experience, he thinks that Bitcoin is better than real estate. It's like there's reason to that. There's validity behind that. So I will expand more on this subject of real estate versus Bitcoin because I think it is a really interesting topic that not a lot of people touch upon, and a lot of people, I believe, are scared to touch upon because real estate is has such a strong legacy in terms of the investing world. But in a world where Bitcoin exists, starting in 2008, 2009, we see that, the story is different. And yeah, throughout this video, we see that the Bitcoin price has increased to 28,200. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens. As you can see here, a lot of buying volume. So I don't know where we're going. But, zooming out is just sideways chop. So, and if you zoom out even more, if you ignore this area completely And if we just go back to before 2023, you could see that Bitcoin, the price it's at today, it was only this price 3 other times in its history. If you don't want to include this right here, it was this price in December of 2020, in May of 2022, and in June of 2022. And it was very brief because these are all daily candles. So yeah, Bitcoin has rarely been around this range. So I guess that's why over the past year in 2023, it's been establishing, support / resistance around this range, to fill in the gap that was here during the last bull run. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I had to say for this video. Not too much to talk about. I mean, I didn't really plan this video too much. I just decided to make this video on a whim like I do with my other videos. And yeah, I'll be sure to make a more in-depth video later on about this subject. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe and continue to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. And I will see you in another video. Thank you so much.